Hi, everyone. I'd like you to meet Kaye Sturgis, who, with her husband Larry, has created the Astro-plan-it calendar that I use on a regular basis. And she's here to talk with us and to help us with our Good Vibe Challenge. Kaye, it's great to see you. How are you today?
I'm doing great, and I am just so thankful that you are having me on your show. I just love this.
Thank you. We're having a lot of fun, and we are learning a lot, and we are finding how keeping our vibrations high really affect our ordinary lives. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
All righty.
So have you always been a mystic, or did you grow into it another part in your life?
Well, actually, I was born this way. I had a near-death experience from pneumonia at 3 months of age, and then
Ooh.
another one at 5 years of age. I don't really remember the one at 3 months of age, but at 5 years of age, I was instantly transported upon my death into what I called then a living void. Now
Oh,
I call it pure consciousness,
okay.
unconditional love, energy, vibration. It's all the same,
Hmm.
that spaciousness. And so from that point forward, I was compelled to study more than the usual kid is aware of. I wanted to know what that was all about.
Hmm.
And I knew for sure that we didn't die at a very early age. My parents told me it was a dream, that
Mm.
death was impossible. But I had just come home from the hospital, was in an oxygen tent. It was Christmas time. And it was years later when I realized what had really happened. So I
Okay.
accepted that it was a dream. And I think that really served me because it instilled and conditioned me with the belief that dreams are of great value in one's life. And so I think well, I'll just stop there for a moment. That kind of just set me up for the life of a mystic, as you call it.
It sure did. Did you meet any beings when you were on
I
the other
did.
side?
I did. I met three. I called them angels early on. I didn't know what else to call them. Now I call them beings of light. And they came out of this void. They seemed to travel through it. And one of them seemed to be mine in particular.
Okay.
Somehow it belonged to me. So maybe it was my higher self, maybe it was an angel. Who
Could have
really
been
knows?
maybe a guardian angel.
Yeah, a guardian angel. It could have been a deceased family member who knew me, but I didn't know them.
Hmm.
And I was shown around and I saw a lot of things. One of the things I became aware of, and this was kind of a weird one because I became aware of black holes being the
Hmm.
manifestors of the universe or in the
Really?
universe. That somehow all the stars and all of us in all forms came out of black holes, and to that we return. I'm not saying that a black hole is God or the absolute or the supreme being. I'm just saying that that has to do with the formation of matter somehow.
Hmm.
So I knew about that. I talked about them. People didn't know what I was talking about because science didn't know that there were black holes at that time. But there were a lot of things I was shown. So it made me kind of quirky and kinky growing up in terms of what I talked about and what I was curious about and that kind of thing. But I also had one of the things I think that all of us with near-death experiences come back with is that sense of unconditional love. It just permeates and every cell of our being or of our non-being or
Non-being.
whatever that is. So I think that we all have this innate desire to serve. Maybe we even have it without the NDEs or the near-death experiences. It doesn't take that for us to want to be served and to also be grateful for everything that occurs. But service has always been a great part of my life, and I've always just wanted peace. I didn't
Mhm.
always act like what I wanted, so I had to learn when I came back to this body to sort of integrate what had happened and where why am I in this body and what am I doing here? And all those questions that I think we ask ourselves eventually.
Yes, because those are the questions that give life meaning. So
Yeah.
as you grew, how did your spirituality manifest itself in your life?
It manifested quite a lot through dreams. I'm very
Okay.
sensitive. I've done intuitive work for a living my whole life. It's come very easy to me. And whenever I've tried to go outside that realm, let's say into the corporate world or the more traditional track or path for a person, that hasn't really worked for me. And I think that was just I kind of believe that we're not the doer. We're sort of being done through the absolute, the universe, or what
Mm-hmm.
have you. But it feels like we're doing it.
It feels
And
like we are doing it, yeah.
yeah, so, but it does seem like my path has, in a sense, been narrow because when I've tried to step outside of that, that hasn't really worked. So my dreams have always been important. We're, like you, we're here in Ecuador. And we came here because I had a dream that we were to move here. And we really didn't know exactly where Ecuador even was in South America. Didn't know it was in South America. And some people, where's Ecuador? Is that in Europe or Africa or no.
I know, it's kind of funny, huh?
Yeah. And then so my husband had a dream too. And of course I feel it's unwise to apply one's dream without checking to make sure it's not what I call coyote medicine first.
Mm.
We might dream of moving to Ecuador and then get on a plane and fly here and not have anything work for us. Maybe it was just a dream to have us look into it. But as we looked into it and began to make plans, all the doors opened. And so it's worked out quite well. And so dreams are very important. And dreams have led me through my work and helped me with clients and the people I've worked with. I'm semi-retired now. And what we're doing right now is we're starting to put out products, stories. We'll be blogging soon about what we've learned in our lives. We're both almost 70, so maybe we have 30 years. I've been proving myself to be healthy and live to be 100, so I don't know if that will occur. It could end today, and this will be my last sharing. Who knows? We don't know what's going to happen.
At least we have it for posterity.
That's right. That's right. So Astro-plan-it, and I'm going to spell that because it's not spelled like a planet would be spelled. It's ASTRO, Astro, and then PLAN, and then IT. So you are planning it, meaning your important engagements or appointments with astrology. And can I talk a little bit about it?
Please do.
Or do you?
Yeah.
Okay. It started about, we don't really know when it started. We think it started about 12, 15 years ago. And we've been putting out the calendar for about that long, for about 12 years. A client of mine traveled constantly. Every month he was somewhere else in the world. And he was really tiring of losing his luggage, flying to Europe, flying to South America, not having his clients be there to meet him when it was agreed upon. He just had a lot of travel woes. So he asked if there was something astrologically I could do to help make his planning easier and make his trips easier. So I used this obscure astrological formula that I had learned in a class many years before that had to do with days that things work out and questions are answered positively in life, and days that things don't quite flow. So I separated the flow days out from the days that aren't flow days and gave him a list each month, and he would make make his reservations days, and it just really worked. So he said it worked actually 85% of the time. At the time, I was sort of an astrology snob, if you will, and I didn't use the dates myself because I just thought it was too general, and we were starting to just see if it really worked. But I had my doubts. I had serious doubts about it. But he was kind of one of those guys who's real left-brained and a very successful businessman, and so I knew that he wouldn't be swayed by some kind of weird placebo effect or what have you. So when he started telling me how well it was going, and that when he wasn't able to use those days or those designated flow days that are in the calendar, that he could really see a difference. And he thought I should make a calendar, an annual calendar, and that I should give it to other people, sell it to other people. He just thought it was really a worthwhile endeavor. And it took me a few years before I did that. And then I did make one, and I started giving it to all of my clients for a holiday gift every year. And after a while, after 2 or 3 years, my clients were just raving about it. And so Larry and I thought, well, maybe we shouldn't be such astrology snobs, only going by our charts. Maybe we should try this general thing that we've created. I mean, what kind of people are we if we aren't even using our own talent or gifts? We've got to find out. So we started using our own calendar, and after about 2 or 3 years, we realized that not only were our dental appointments easier, our trips were vastly easier. We used it for our important dates, but it's not meant to obsess about. It's not for that. It's just for one significant plans. What we started to realize is that we were overall much less stressed than we had been in the past. And
Wow.
we realized it was because we were flowing all of the time. If I taught a class, it was on a flow day. If I did, I don't know if today is a flow day. I didn't even look, Barbara.
I
But
didn't look either.
normally if I do an interview, it's, I'll look, but I don't always look. But because I do look when it's important, and I've tried playing with it and kind of not caring whether it's a flow day or not, but I think things always tend to just go a little better on the flow days, that we just realized that it changed our whole lives. Actually, we felt more at peace. People always, oh, I went and I had this problem, and we're thinking, well, that kind of doesn't happen very much. And then we realized that we had somehow magically, I mean, it was really kind of magic, because we didn't know the gift that we had. And that's true, I think, of a lot of us. We have so many gifts that we don't even know that we have, that we had lined up with divine timing or cosmic timing.
Yeah.
And people talk about that all the time. Well, I plan, God laughs.
Uh-huh.
And there's really a way that we can flow with divine timing and know what it is. It doesn't have to be a mystery.
Yes.
And so that's how the Astro-plan-it came to be. And we're just really proud of it. We've been through so much with it, and not knowing if it worked, finding out that it worked for others, and then trying it for ourselves, and so on and so forth. So it's the first thing that we're putting out that has to do with the wisdom that we've learned in our lives, so that if people are interested in what we've learned, we can give it to them, or to those people, or to you, who, your listeners or what have you, to help make life easier, and so that they don't have to go through 15 years to, well, actually it's only about 5 or 6 years, but to really know that we can align with cosmic timing and have our life be easier. Anything that can
Absolutely.
de-stress us, help us to relax, because I just feel like when we relax, everything just comes to us.
It's
And
much easier.
it
And,
is. It's, yeah.
and relaxation has a lot to do with our vibration, because when we're tense and worried, we're dialed into emotions that have a lower vibration. So they tend to make us feel heavy. And I've been using your Astro-plan-it since the beginning of this year, and I'm finding things are really flowing nicely for me. And I don't obsess about it, because I remember how it's only in the last year or two, that, maybe more, but the whole idea of planets going retrograde and the difference in the energies when they do that, Mercury
Oh, yeah.
retrograde. And I understand very deeply that there's a time for everything. So with Mercury retrograde, that's the time to go inward. That's the time to clean things out so that when the energies pick up to go outward again, you're prepared.
It's
And
so true.
yeah, and that's how I view the astro-planet as well, because I just look at the light colored days as flow days and the dark ones as internal days, or staying home and rest up and write on the books days, whatever is working. But it has made a difference. I find my life is flowing beautifully this year. And I was very careful when I scheduled the launches for my books to make sure they were on flow days.
Oh, good.
Yes.
I would not launch anything without it being a flow day, but I'm such a believer in it now. It's not, I think it even transcends belief, divine timing does. I feel that, well, Yogananda's teacher, Sri Yukteswar,
Easy
sorry,
for you to say.
always said that, certain things, full self-realization is really sort of up to the absolute. But what we can do, moving in that direction of knowing who we truly are to the degree that is possible, there are these things that we can do that won't really help enlighten us, but they will help us diminish what's in the way. And he mentioned meditation, yoga, and astrology. And I thought that was interesting that astrology was considered along with meditation and yoga, because sometimes I've thought of meditation and yoga being just a sort of a little higher of a frequency. But astrology, part of our world too, really has a way of showing us what our patterns are and how we can learn to relax and let go of that which troubles us. I mean, even with the astro-planet, of course, there's going to be pain in life, but we don't have to suffer. Buddha said that. We
Right.
can, we have painful experiences, and we have them so that we'll wake up to who we really are. There's a purpose in that. So every day isn't meant to flow, and every day doesn't flow. And I think if we start to rely on flow days for everything and just hide in a closet during those days when it isn't, then we might find our flow days not flowing so well either.
Right.
I just feel like, we're really not in charge. Something so much greater than we are within us
Right.
and out there is in charge.
That is something that has become clearer and clearer to me with all the new information that's coming about ascension, about our relationship with ascended masters and extraterrestrials. And it's like, it's so much more complicated than we have any idea. Our brains are not wired to comprehend the whole thing. And we're growing into more and more knowledge, but I suspect that no matter how much we grow, there's always more to know. And
sometimes I think the more I know, the more I realize I don't know anything.
exactly. Exactly.
I'm here. That's what I know.
we're here, and we've learned a certain amount. And with so much information out there, sometimes it's hard to know what to trust. Do you have a way that you sort through all the noise to find the nuggets of truth that resonate for you?
Well, yes, I really do a lot, and I probably spend way too much time on just that. I meditate. I'm not going to say every day, because it's not really a let's see. I meditate most every day. I do yoga. The way I learned to meditate was, this is how the universe works with me. I meditated off and on. I'm 68, so I meditated off and on for 35 years as an adult. The same with yoga, the same with all these kinds of things. And then about 12 years ago, my friend Stuart came over, and he said to us that he wanted to exact a commitment from us to meditate every day for 90 days. And would we promise this? We'd known each other 10 years. He had never asked us for anything, but he wanted us to commit to do this. So we said yes. 4 days later, Stuart dropped dead unexpectedly. And so what we realized was that we made a deathbed promise to our friend to meditate every day.
Wow.
So we were doubly committed after that. I mean, we try to do everything we say. We don't do everything we say. We do our best to be responsible to what we say. But that really made it a deal. So we started then, and we just kept going. I skip a day here and there. Larry's pretty much a regular meditator every single day. So he's a little more on it than I am, but I do it most days. I also do EFT, emotional freedom technique, and tapping. I love it. I feel like it's really powerful, and I use it a lot. I started doing yoga regularly about 1.5 years ago, and that's really helping the body. But what I've done most of all is, and I can't remember the whole quote, but there was a quote by Osho, and it basically goes something like this: relax, there's no place to go. Relax, there's nothing to do. Relax. And it goes on and on for a page. And it finally says, relax, ... and it will all come to you. So I tend to take a quote and work with it for a really long time. And I worked with that for about 2 years. Every day, day in and day out, no matter what, I could relax my shoulders. No matter what was happening, I could relax the body. And I just always start there. And when I drop my shoulders, everything automatically relaxes. And I found by doing this that I de-stressed a lot more. I found that when I was in conversations, I don't know if you've ever been in a tense conversation with all your wisdom, but it does happen.
Oh,
And
a time or two.
so when there's something that's painful to be involved in, I do my best to remember to relax. And usually it starts by dropping my shoulders. That's just the easiest, because some people, well, how do you relax when you're all tense? Well, drop your shoulders. So if the body's relaxed, we can't hold the anger, we can't hold the frustration or all the rest of it. We are relaxed. And then we begin to see, when we're relaxed over a long period of time, that, gee, I can really be relaxed no matter what is happening. And I never knew that could even be a potential or a possibility.
Right.
So those are some of the things I do.
Those
Change it up here and there.
Well, and I think we do need to change it up here and there. I think practices come into our lives and we go on them and we get benefit, and then something else comes along that we get excited about, and maybe we forget the first one or get distracted. It'll even circle back around when we need it. But I love what Osho said, and it seems to me that he's also saying stay in the moment. Because when you're relaxed and you're in the moment, and that's part of the point of meditating, to keep your mind from dwelling on the past, which doesn't exist anymore, or trying to create the future, which is totally in flux. So when we need peace, the moment is where it is, and working with our body.
Well, just this morning, I was listening to this little YouTube by Bruce Lipton. And
Love
Bruce
him.
Lipton, he was at Stanford, and yes, and I'm sure everybody, well, maybe not everybody is aware of him, but he was saying that he was talking about how we have the thinking part of our minds, and then we have the feeling part of our minds. conscious, subconscious. It's called a lot of different things. But he talked about how 95% of our behaviors and responses to things are from the subconscious, and that some of the ways to change this part of our mind are being present, what you were just talking about, being in the moment. And because the subconscious mind is reacting to our patterns from our past. So if we're present, then that doesn't have a chance to occur. Of course, tapping and meditation and all the other things help too, but just being present will do the trick. And we can be present starting with the senses. We can say, well, gee, I can hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. I can hear the words that are coming out of your mouth. Not right this second, but in another second I will. So if I'm really present and I'm just hearing my words, I'm looking at the computer screen and I'm feeling the weight of my body on the chair that I'm sitting on. And just kind of, if we can't bring ourselves into the present through conceptually, we can do it with the bodies and the senses, like feeling the weight, feeling the air in the room on our skin, those sorts of things.
Exactly.
And then we can join the conversation in the moment rather than having an agenda that came from our childhood or what have you.
Right, because it's in the moment where we have the wisdom. And it's in the moment where we can choose to react to old patterns, or we can choose to do something different based on our honest response in the moment.
Yeah.
That's
And I feel like it's really important, and it's not a mental thing. Recently we had, I'll put it this way because I don't want to point at any specific person. We met someone who had been a meditator 47 years, every single day, never missing a day, and a yoga practitioner 47 years, never missing a day. And we were both amazed. We'd never met anyone quite like that before. We got to spend some time with this person, and we found the person to be really like stressed out. We were thinking, well, what does this mean? So it's not a mental thing that I must do this every day to be relaxed, or I must do yoga to be flexible, because if we have these rigid perspectives about things that are created to help us relax, it just isn't going to work. So we never knew that before. We're all getting insights.
I know one of my favorite criteria for discerning where the best teaching is for me is what the Master Yeshua said, by their fruits you shall know them. So this is something for all of our good vibers to remember as they're doing the work. And we have some powerful, beautiful, loving souls in this group. Check out the results. And if it works for you, do it. If it doesn't work for you, do something else. And that's also how you can evaluate the people who you want to be your leaders. What does their energy say? What is the fruit of how they're living, how they're talking, who they're being in the world? So even when we're dealing with the layers of confusion and change that we are in the world right now, because it is changing, things are falling apart, and the vision of the new world is getting stronger and stronger. And we have to do it all on our own, individually, in community.
It starts with the individual, and then it spreads into the community. And there are just tens of millions of us who are purposefully doing the work, de-stressing, practicing loving kindness and compassion. And it's just very exciting to be alive right now. I know all of us are saying that.
Yes, we are saying that.
It's a real adventure.
It is an adventure. And we're working to be the source of love, to be hollow bones and channels for good things coming onto the planet. And it's one of the reasons we're working to hold our vibration high, because we know that as we vibrate, it ripples out around us and it affects everything. So sometimes perhaps all the time, the most important work is our own inner work. And then our contribution to everybody else is to allow people to see us and to see our process and to see what they can learn from our process and what we can learn from what they're willing to share. So
It's so true.
it is true. And that's why we're doing these interviews. And I want to thank you for taking the time and coming to share your process, because we've learned from you. We've learned about how to navigate a situation like you went through when you were young, where you had an extraordinary experience that people around you couldn't comprehend, and how you had to grow into that and only understand the full ramifications of it as you looked back on it. That's a very powerful thing.
Well, thank you, Barbara. I've learned so much from you. I knew you before this interview, and have had the wonderful opportunity to be in groups you've facilitated, and I just feel that you're a spectacular human being. We can say as good as it gets, warts and all. I don't know what the warts are, because
I
I'm
have
only
them.
beauty, but I know that we all have them. You know, and
We all do. We're human.
yeah,
We have warts. Just don't
yeah.
talk to my sisters.
I know that one.
You know, siblings can be very prejudiced.
I know. I always wondered how siblings that are born in the same family who can be so completely different from one another. It's
Yeah.
pretty amazing. Sometimes I think the siblings are siblings that are the people that we have the most karma with, but also I deeply loved my siblings, so there's that too. And
Oh, I've been very blessed with my sisters. I have, and we've had a lot of fun together too. And there's been huge support. But we laugh about it now. But I'm the oldest,
yeah.
and one of their favorite things was to find ways to embarrass me, especially when I was a teenager. If I had a boy come calling or something, oh my God, you don't even want to know.
Girl, we could talk. I'm the eldest too, and I had two younger brothers, and it was the same deal.
Yes. So thank you so much. And we will put a link in the comments so people know where to go and find the Astro-plan-it. And I'm loving mine. It gives me a sense of peace just knowing that I'm stacking the deck in my favor.
Well, thank you so much, Barbara. And I just, I wish you the best with all of your interviews. And thanks
Thank you.
again.
All
Okay.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.